Hey y'all, what's up? I don't even know exactly how to start this video, or I don't know. I just want to come here and talk. If you guys follow me on Instagram, then you've seen a picture I posted with a caption talking about how my grandma was meeting my son for the first time, my newborn, and how happy he made her, but that she wouldn't remember it by the next day because she has dementia. So some of you guys already know that she has dementia. And I'm gonna try not to cry in this video. And I'm just making this video because I feel like coming on here and talking about things, I find it to be very therapeutic and helpful for me. And hopefully I've been in frame the last few moments, because apparently my camera, I think, dropped or something. Let's see if we can adjust this really quickly. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully I stay on the camera. Things this past week with her, like I said, I'm making this video just more or less for myself because I find it to be very therapeutic, but hopefully, you know, maybe somebody else out there will see this and relate, because dealing with someone who is dying is hard. And I think that goes without saying, regardless of how they're dying, it's hard. And I'm sure there are people out there who are going through the exact same thing I'm going through, or if you're not doing it now, you have, and if you haven't, you will, because dying is just a part of life. You know, all those cliches. I think the worst part about seeing someone you love deteriorate and die is that you're faced with your own mortality, and that's a big pill to swallow, because it's so easy to go about your day just like not thinking about the impending death that we're all heading towards. Not to be dramatic. So my grandma was 85. She just had her 85th birthday. So she's had a long life. And within this last week, she's had a lot of health problems come up, and we don't know. Right now, we're kind of at a standstill where we don't know what direction this is going to go in. My car is making noises. I had it turned on and I turned it off, and now it does this. I don't know. I don't even know if you guys can hear it. It makes like little grinding sounds. I'm actually at the hospital right now. I'm in the parking lot. I was going to film this when I got home, but I thought I don't want to wake everybody up, and filming at home means there's no street lights and it would be very dark in here. So anyways, she's had a lot of health problems, and we don't know if she's going to make a turnaround and recover. And if she recovers, what quality of life is she going to have? Or it could go the other direction and she could pass. As mentioned, she has dementia. She is in the nursing home. And I know anytime I mention that on here, people want to ask, why don't she just live with you? Trust me, I wish she could. And that, when I moved into her house, that was the original intent, was for my husband and I to move in to help take care of her. She would be giving us a free place to live, and we would be taking up all of the housework, all of the cooking, all of the yard work. We would be paying all of the utilities. We would take on the she don't have taxes twice a year, but we would take on, you know, all the aspects of having a home and taking care of her. And in exchange for that, like, we would have a free place to stay. That was the original plan. But it ended up that she had to go in the nursing home because things just got so bad. Like, my parents at one point were there for like 12-hour days to make sure that she was staying independent. And I remember going a lot of times over there with him. At the time, my dad wasn't working. My dad I think he just graduated college, and he was retired military, and so he didn't have a job at the time, so he was able to do that. And my mom wasn't working, so she was able to do that, and so they were just with my grandma all the time. But that kind of meant that they didn't have a life, because anytime they left, they would come back and she'd been stuck in the basement for a few hours because she decided to go do laundry, and then she couldn't get her legs to move well enough to get back upstairs, or she'd leave burners on the stove, and thankfully never caught the house on fire, but it wasn't for the lack of her leaving the burners on. And then just the physically caring for her. Like, she's not a tiny person, and so physically it's hard to like get her up, you know, like like a lift is needed. And then her mobility got really bad to where she ended up being in a wheelchair, and like, to be in the house in a wheelchair means you pretty much are just going to be living in the house. Like, you can't leave. Like, there's steps in the front, steps in the back. How are we going to get you down all that? I mean, so it just was better and safer for her to be in a nursing home. On top of all of that, it meant that my parents could live their lives, like, their whole life was being spent trying to keep her independent. Like, that wasn't, good for anybody. So she ended up in the nursing home. Here within the last few days, though, it's just been like, it's like every day there's something new. It started out with her having kidney problems, is what the nursing home called it. More or less, she wasn't peeing. And she started spiking a fever of like over 105, or about 105. And then she ended up having to get put on oxygen because she was having a hard time breathing. She wasn't eating much, she wasn't drinking much, and she started having some heart problems. But the nursing home gave her some medication for it, and it seems to be working. So things just, other than her heart getting better, things were getting worse with everything else. So they took her to the hospital. Hospital determined that she's just dehydrated, but she's like extremely dehydrated. So she's on day 3 of being in the hospital now. Still getting fluids pumped through her. Tonight she had her first bowel movement in 3 days that we're aware of. We don't know when her last one was at the nursing home. She's still not wanting to eat. She's still not wanting to drink. She's still running fevers of about 102. She's having fluids coming through her, so that's good. They have her on a catheter, and they're measuring what comes out. So kidneys are working, I guess. Don't know that it's at full capacity, but they're working. We found out that she does have a urinary tract infection, which she's been getting those on and off for like the past year now. And whenever you get a UTI and you have dementia, it can really make your dementia get really bad. Or even if you have Alzheimer's, it can really flare it up, make things really bad. So she's not been very cognitive. Like, tonight, like, she couldn't really follow a conversation very well. So when my lights went out, my phone quit working, so I had to mess with all that. So I don't even know where I was at with all of this. But with everything going on with her, it's just like tonight we found out that with her UTI, she has E. coli growing in her urethra. And that's not good. Oh, she also ended up having low blood, and they're trying to figure out what caused that. She had to have a pint of blood given to her, unit of blood, however that works, I'm not sure. It seems she doesn't have the use of her legs anymore because they have to have nurses coming in and moving her legs for her. She can't move them anymore. But she has diabetes, and she's been having problems with the circulation in her legs for years. And there's just a lot going on, like a lot. And we don't know that if she gets out of the hospital and goes back to the nursing home, how long till we're back here again. And if the nursing home hadn't caught everything that was going on, she'd have passed. or she'd be heading that direction. Right now, the nurses currently don't think that she's going to pass anytime soon. Like, they don't think she's currently dying. But I've watched my other 3 grandparents deteriorate and pass away. And in my gut, I feel like this is the beginning of the end. Like, I feel like we're heading down that path with her. And that is hard. And it comes with a bunch of mixed emotions. Because on some levels, I feel like I should feel way worse about this than I do. Which then in turn makes me feel guilty. And I'm sure other people can relate to that. I don't know, maybe some of this comes with age. And I'm sure some of it comes from having seen my other 3 grandparents go through this. Like, maybe that's why I'm not, I don't want to say I'm insensitive to death, but I've been exposed to it. And so I'm not as devastated by it, I guess. And I feel bad for that. I feel like I should be crying a lot. I just feel like I should feel a lot worse than I do about her coming to the end of her life. I mean, I've been close with my grandma my whole life. Like, all of my grandparents, all 4 of them. And I'm very sad by the idea of her not being here anymore. But in the same respect, she hasn't really been here in a long time. Like, in some ways, I feel like I've grieved her the last 4 years. Because her dementia has just gotten worse and worse and worse. I mean, she was diagnosed 4 years ago. There were signs to it before then that we didn't catch. And now looking back on it, we're like, oh yeah, that's what that was. But in the last 4 years, it's just gotten worse. And, you know, some days are better than others. But, and I don't know if me feeling not desensitized, but I don't know if I feel this way because I'm older, because I'm an adult, or it's because I've gone through it and I've seen it. But I feel guilty for not feeling sadder. I remember when my first grandpa passed when I was about 10, and I was devastated. Oh my gosh, I was devastated. I mean, other than a pet dying, that was the first time I'd ever experienced, like, the loss of a person in my life. And not to mention that I watched him die at 10. Like, I was there. I seen it. And so I don't know if just my experiences with it is kind of what makes me not so saddened by it. Like, I'm sad, but, like, I'm not... You guys will get what I'm trying to say? And I feel like talking about it and saying it is like, people are going to look at me and be like, oh, you're an ass. You know, like, oh, you don't care if your grandma dies. And that's not it at all. But, like, I don't want her to suffer anymore, you know? When there comes a point in time when it's, like, quality over quantity. And, like, you can give her 1,000,000 days. But, like, if there's no quality to it, what's the point? Just for her to sit and suffer? And then my last 2 grandparents who passed, I watched my other grandpa. I watched him pass away. I was in the room when he died as well. I was about 15. For 6 months, his death was drug out. For 6 months. And it finally came to the point where he started just having internal bleeding and he was just going through blood. And the nurses finally talked to my grandma and told them, like, hey, we can't just keep pumping him full of blood. Like, you gotta let him go. But he was on, like, machines and everything. And it's just like, at what point are we doing too much? And that statement right there makes me sound like an asshole. Like, but death, it's not easy all the way around. It's not easy for the person dying. It's not easy for the family. It's just not easy. And maybe it's not easy because we overcomplicate it. I don't know. Sometimes I think back, like, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if this was going on, You would just make somebody comfortable at home in bed and they would just pass away. We wouldn't drag it out with medications and this, that, and the other. And the way I view it, it's like you have a broken dam, and instead of fixing it, you're just slapping duct tape on it. Like, eventually that dam's gonna give. Like, it's... But it's like, are we doing the right thing? I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things in life where it's just like a giant question mark of, I don't know. And you try to put yourself in their shoes, and it's like, what would they want? But like, she's so far gone cognitively, but that there's no way for her to even tell you. Not that it even matters, because, you know, at that point we're talking about, I guess, euthanization, if I'm even saying that right, and that's not even legal in my state, so it don't even matter. But like, and the nursing homes and hospitals are gonna do whatever they're gonna do. And like, I don't want my grandma to suffer, you know, like, I don't want it to be drug out for months and months and months. And I'd like to think that when I get to that age, I would want that for myself, that I wouldn't want to waste away in a hospital bed for months and months and months. But I feel like that's what we're getting ready to do here. I expect within the next few days, assuming, see, they're having to put her on a whole new set of medication because the antibiotic she was on was not taking care of the UTI, and she's still running fevers. When I left, it was at 102. So they're switching up her antibiotics and giving her a stronger type. So assuming this one works and we can get rid of the UTI and E. coli bacteria, then I'm sure she'll go back to the nursing home. But how long until we end up back here again? I feel like it's just going to start being a downward spiral of being in here until she passes. And it's just hard, and it's sad, and it's guilty, and it's a lot. And it's a lot of questioning of, did I do enough? Was I there enough? And it's so easy to sit around and beat yourself up about all the things that maybe you could have done or should have done. But at the end of the day, like, you can't change the past. You can't go back. And I don't know, it is what it is, I guess. And I feel like I gotta clarify this, but no way do, like, I don't want my grandma to die. It's not like I want her to die, but I don't want her to suffer. And I guess I should also say that I don't want her to suffer just to die. Like, I understand she doesn't feel very good right now because she's sick with the UTI and the E. coli and all that stuff. And, like, you know, if you could get it under control and clear it up and make her feel good and get her back to the nursing home, and you should be around her friends, and if she could do stuff, go play cards, like, enjoy her life, then, like, by all means. But, like, if there's no fixing this and there's no quality of life to go back to, what's the point? You know? And, like, right now, like I said, with the UTI and everything going on, like, her dementia is just, it's bad right now. Like, she still recognizes who we are, I think. I was questioning if she knew who I was today. She didn't say anything, and she let me hug her, so I'm assuming she did. But I'm not 100% sure that she did. That's just the first time I've ever vocalized that. I don't know that she recognized me. So, that's just kind of what's going on. I know I haven't been posting a whole lot. I really haven't had a lot of time to edit. I like to say that I'm up here with her a lot more, but I'm not. And it's hard because I got 2 kids. But again, it's one of those, like, you can sit around and beat yourself up all day long, but, like, you can only do what you can do. So it is what it is, and it will be what it will be, and it's times like this that I think about her before the dementia. Like the real her, you know? That's the grandma that I miss. And that's the grandma that I'll never see again. It makes me so sad. And that grandma's gone. She's been gone for years. And so I think on some levels that almost makes all of this a little easier. And maybe that's why it made things easier with my other grandma who already passed. She had dementia. She had all the UTIs. She went through the exact same thing. And her death was drug out over 4 months. And I don't want that to happen again. And yet it looks like it's going to. There's nothing I can do about it. This means 4 months of in and out of the hospital, 4 months of extreme pain, 4 months of her not being there, or being in and out of being there. Assuming it's even 4 months. I mean, I don't know. It just has to be endured, you know? You gotta get through it. You gotta do it. You gotta show up as much as you can. You gotta do as much as you can do. So, I don't think I have too much else to say on here. I thought that I'm just starting to repeat myself. I'm very tired. It's like 2:30 in the morning. So, I'm gonna head on home, try to get some sleep before the boys wake up. So, I will keep you guys posted on all of this, just because, one, I find talking on here to be therapeutic, and two, I know other people are going through it, and I'm sure other people have the exact same thoughts that I have. And maybe other people will find comfort in knowing that they're not alone in their thoughts and in the process of a loved one passing away and dealing with it. You know, like I said, we're just at the beginning stages. This is gonna be a while, but I truly, in my gut, I do believe that it's gonna be downhill from here. So, yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys later.